Good morning everyone, it's Jamie Gonzalez here and I'm at the Bondi Art Lounge with Sally Belcher, the Bondi Art Lounge Curator. So tell me a little bit, we're here this morning. I wanted to come and ask you a few questions about how the Bondi Art Gallery has come about. It's a fairly new project of yours. And it started, we had the launch only, was
just over a week ago, yeah. It is a new project. I've been, art isn't new for me. I've painted since I was really young, or sketched, or been creative in one way or another. Art's always been a passion of mine, and I've never really taken that step to take it to the next level, mainly because the challenges in getting into the professional exhibition world, into galleries and things like that. So I just explored my love for it at home and would paint pictures and have them at friends and family's houses. The opportunity came up for me to exhibit in this space, and obviously I jumped at that opportunity, but my love was to also share that opportunity with other local artists from particularly Sydney, but you know, as Australian artists. So we put the call out for other local artists like myself that were painting at home and had a passion for art, but were finding that next step a little bit difficult. We wanted to open the doors to people like that. So here we are. We've currently got 6 artists on board exhibiting some beautiful work.
You're one of them, you've got your bottoms behind you.
I'm one of them, so my work's obviously down here, and it's the good thing about it, I think, in having a space like this and having the opportunity to exhibit is it inspires you to have more of a purpose in your creativity as well, and I know for the other artists that have come on board, it's really given them something to go home and they've been churning out this artwork to have, you know, come and put it up on the walls and get people to see it, so, and purchase it. So. Yeah,
it's beautiful. You just spoke a little bit about when you were younger, you know, you realised you had this passion or flair for art. How did that come about? How did you, where was the moment? Do you have a moment, particular moment that, because I know there's other artists out there that, you know, they do have a bit of a creative side, but maybe they're not really acknowledging, why am I really an artist or not? How did you realise you had more of a purpose with art?
Yeah, it's funny because, you know, as you know, I do art classes as well, and creativity is something that comes up a lot for people that have a love for it but don't class themselves as being creative. And the more I've explored the idea of creativity, I believe that everybody's creative in one way or another. You know, as a child, I can't remember a certain moment that I thought, wow, I'm a creative person. I can remember being, you know, 4 or 5 and tracing things and wanting to colour in, and you know, I started with pencils and crayons, I suppose. And as I advanced, I went to charcoals and then started painting. So it's just been an outlet for me that I just love the process of you know, creating with colour and drawing, and yeah, it's just I just lose time and just love that process. Other people, I think, are creative in other ways, whether it's exploring colours in their dress or in their work or their business, but you know, creativity for me, I suppose, is having a feeling inside you of, you know, ideas and the actual letting out of that. As we get older and become adults, we build barriers, whether it's judgment, comparison, perfectionism. So we've all got that churning inside us, but it's whether we're brave enough to let it out. Yeah. So, yeah, and I think for me, art is a way that I can let that creativity out, but I can recognise in other areas of my life that I still have those barriers there. So, yeah, it's fun. It's fun in realising where you can be creative and where you can still, you know, work on it a little bit more.
I think it's cool, like you mentioned, that, you know, some areas, you know, you still find the challenges, but at least you're aware of an area where you're letting that creativity flow, you know, letting it express. And I suppose the more you do that, do you find that the other areas of your life are now sort of, you're finding it easy to break through those boundaries now that you're allowing this creativity to express here? And
yeah, I don't know about easier, but it's definitely an awareness. I think once you have an awareness of where you're being creative, so when people come into my classes, I get them to have a think about where they're being creative in their life, whether it's in their sport that they have this feeling of what they're going to let out and they just do it, but then it comes to drawing a person, they kind of go, oh no, I'm not going to be as good as this person, so they can see that they've got a barrier there, but in their art art, they're happy to just go out in the field and go for it. So it doesn't necessarily make it easier in that process, but there's just a recognition of, oh, look what I'm doing here, and I'm just preventing that from coming out rather than allowing it to flow and see what happens.
It's interesting because I've heard a few people and known a couple of people that have been to your art classes, and they tell me it's a lot more than just an art class. Like there are things that unfold for them, like you're talking, you know, they notice their own processes. And
yeah, it's interesting. When I was first asked by a friend if I can teach them to paint, or you know, to hold an art class, and it was a challenge for me and a lot of fear came up, and I thought, well, you know, how do I teach art when I've never been professionally trained myself? So I started researching stroke techniques and all these different technical skills of painting that I'd never learnt myself. So I kind of pulled myself up and thought, well, that's not what art is about for me. The best thing I can do is share my process in what I go through when I'm, you know, painting or exploring, you know, inspiration. So yeah, gradually my classes have kind of become more about people finding their creativity or recognising their creativity, and then just holding the space for them to explore that. And yeah, it's been a really interesting process for me too. You know, I've become more in touch with how I paint and how I yeah, recognise my creativity, I suppose.
What's been as well, like you just spoke about that, you know, realising your own process, but this in itself, like I know that you were in a different profession previously to this, but you've always had a love for art that's been there. You've always painted here and there, but now you've really brought this to life. Like what was the, I suppose, the point in which you changed and went, you know what, I'm just going to go with my passion in life?
I suppose that was maybe about four years ago. As you said, I followed a career path using my left brain as a health professional. When it became, you know, I came to the end of VCE and I knew I loved art, but I thought that's more of a hobby for me, so I'll put that aside and focus on making money and getting a good job. But yeah, down the track, I went full steam ahead with that, and 6 or 7 years into it, I was just completely unfulfilled. It didn't matter how successful I was in business and you know, how high up I got in the profession. I just had this longing for something else, and it wasn't until somebody pointed out to me, hey, you haven't painted for a long time. I'd neglected it for 4 or 5 years, so I went out and got a canvas, and it just instantly, I had that fulfillment again. It wasn't anything about what I got out of it or whether I sold it or not. It was just that release of my creativity, and that's when I kind of realised what was important to me and what I really wanted to spend my time doing. And in saying that, it's been interesting having different artists come on board, and they all connect to that story, and most creative people can resonate with that and say, yeah, you know, it's really such a fulfilling thing in their life, and it's one of the only things that you can just, you know, it's what you do, and it doesn't matter about the outcome.
Being in the moment with your art.
Yeah, that's right.
As well, you know, and you previously spoke about that, like you've got some new artists on board, and to me it feels like you have a lot of belief in these new artists, you know, and in finding a way to support them. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Because I heard you speaking the other night at your opening, and it was quite an emotional moment for you when you're talking about just getting these girls on board, you know, and these other artists, and then all of a sudden, you know, they came here and their arts are up. And
in myself, I can see, you know, I don't have much belief in backing my own art. I love, as I just mentioned, I love the process of painting. It's not so much about the outcome. So up until a year or so ago, I used to just paint and like to keep my stuff private. It was, you know, I had a lot of judgment around if other people saw it or if they liked it or didn't like it, because it was just something I loved to do, but it wasn't so much about showing it off. And then I can see that in other people, other creative artists that are coming on board, and to recognise the beauty in their artwork and be supportive of them to let go of that fear and put it up on the wall is you know, amazing to be able to do for someone else, because I know where they're at. So yeah, that launch night for me was really special to see how far those artists had come. Most of the artists we've got on board haven't ever professionally exhibited before, so to see their passion up there on the wall and have all their supporters around so proud of them was, yeah, it was really great.
That was a pretty special moment, and funnily enough, which is amazing, on that night every artist sold some of their works, which I know it's sort of, you not talk about the outcome, but I think just for them, in you know, you believing them, and then them also going, wow, people will appreciate what I'm putting out there, is pretty cool.
That's right. So there was a lot of support, and I think you just have to look at some of the artwork around and recognise how much love is put into that artwork. I've read a quote recently, and it was, you know, it was about artwork and the practicality of it, and it's the beauty in the art's really not in the skill it takes to produce it, but it's the love that the person's put into creating it. So there's a recent, you know, fad in art, I suppose, of resin art, where people just really smear resin paint on a canvas, and the effect is amazing. It's quite simple to do, but you can look at two pieces of art and go, wow, that one is really special, and one that is purely made for financial reasons, and you can feel the difference in the two of them. So it's interesting that most people can look at a piece of art and go and see which one the passion's in and which one's just been mass produced for the money. So
what would you say to an artist? You know, like, there's a lot of artists out there, I know, that they're so gifted in what they do, and, you know, lucky enough you've got some people here which you've been able to share with us, but for the ones that are just starting out, you know, and they do have a passion to live their life just painting, what's some of the advice you would give them, you know, considering your own journey now?
My advice, as an artist, I know it wouldn't have mattered what people said to me. I could feel my love in painting, so I'm sure that they're going to continue exploring that and painting anyway. But I suppose if I had any advice, it would be, you know, have the faith and belief in yourself to get it out there and get it seen, because the love that you feel in painting it, people can see that when they see your work. So
it feels like they feel it.
Yeah,
like yeah. Like you're just that point you just said, you can feel the difference in artwork.
So yeah, I think I've noticed myself when I've been, you know, strong enough to back myself and take a leap of faith, I suppose, in going, yeah, you know what, I'm going to put it up for sale, I'm going to put my artwork on the wall and see what happens. Things have just evolved in a really, you know, amazing way, and I've had great response from people and sold pieces of artwork and that type of thing. So yeah, for budding artists that just have their artwork at home, I think, yeah, go for it, back yourself, and you know, invest in yourself and what you love, and get it out there.
Yeah, it's good advice. There's a lot of people that do have amazing dreams and passions around, you know, creativity, whether it's painting or whatever it is, but a lot of them do keep it in because out of fear of what happens if I do go out there.
Yeah, it's rejected, and exactly. As I mentioned, the artists that have come on board here, it's funny that we've attracted that group of people, because it's a perfect group of people that I really wanted to support and have here. Are artists that haven't exhibited before, and most of them didn't back themselves very much. So to support them and get their artwork out there and then see sales coming through, it just reinforces that, you know, their work is you know, of a great standard, and we want to keep supporting that, and other artists that are in the same position.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, I can see you're really about supporting your artists and things, but I can see this is more than just about just the art and the gallery itself. Where are you going from here? My vision for the place, I came from Melbourne, and in Melbourne there was a lot of little creative hubs and you know, galleries and coffee places, and I felt in the eastern suburbs there wasn't so much of that, and I found it difficult to connect with other creative people, particularly being at home painting all the time. It's fairly isolating. So I felt that, one, in supporting other artists to get their artwork seen, but I also wanted to make this a space for you know, creative people to come and inspire each other, just hang out here and have a chat and connect. So we're opening a coffee lounge here in the next couple of weeks, so we'll get some more tables and communal areas to sit at, but we're going to have coffee and small snacks. The space is also available for venue hire, so the other night when you were here we had like a cocktail evening, so for corporate type events or events that want to embrace the creative space and have this beautiful artwork around, it's perfect for that. So yeah, venue hire, the coffee space, and we're also holding art classes here of different creative types. So that sounds awesome. There's so much that you're doing here. So can you tell me a little about when you are actually open? When can people come in and check this place out?
We're open 7 days actually, so 7 days from 10 till 5. After hours will be when we have the art classes or venue hire, and if people are wanting to view the artwork by appointment after hours as well. So yeah.
Cool. Well, I've seen a bit of your after hour shenanigans in here. People coming and doing their artworks and bringing a bottle of wine along, and away they go.
Yeah. So for the art classes, we're doing a BYO, coming in with a glass of red and yeah, just to relax a little bit more. It's good fun.
Helps get the creativity flowing.
It does. It does. Reduces them inhibitions.
Beautiful. Well, Sally, thanks for sharing some time with me
Jamie.
today.
Thanks for coming in.
Really appreciate it, and I love what you're doing here, and if you're watching this and you know, feel to come check it out, please come on down. It's a beautiful space. But yeah, till next time.
Thanks, Jamie.